Hello, everybody. So today I wanted to share some kind of sad news with you that Clear Linux, which has been supported and maintained by Intel, is going to be shut down. So I wanted to share an article that I came across and share that article with you and discuss it. And then I also wanted to show you the website where you can still go and download Clear Linux and install it if you'd like to try it out on your computer. And then I also wanted to show you what Clear Linux looks like. So let's go over to the computer now so I can share all that with you. So as you can see, Intel announced that it's shutting down Clear Linux. The most depressing news of the week, and I tend to agree because I don't like to see any Linux distro stop being supported. But Intel is going to end their performance optimized Clear Linux distribution. Over the past decade, the Clear Linux operating system has shown what's possible with out of the box performance on x86 64 hardware. Now, not just for Intel platforms, but even showing extremely great performance results on the AMD x86 64 too. But with the cost cutting going on at Intel, Clear Linux is now being sunset. Intel put out a statement that Clear Linux is being shut down. After years of innovation and community collaboration, we're ending support for Clear Linux OS. Effective immediately, Intel will no longer provide security patches, updates, or maintenance for Clear Linux OS, and the Clear Linux OS GitHub repository will be archived and put into read only mode. So, if you're currently using Clear Linux OS, we strongly recommend planning your migration to another actively maintained Linux distribution as soon as possible to ensure ongoing security and stability. Now, rest assured that Intel remains deeply invested in the Linux ecosystem, actively supporting and contributing to various open source projects and Linux distributions to enable and optimize for Intel hardware. And a heartfelt thank you to every developer, user, and contributor who helped shape Clear Linux OS over the last 10 years. Your feedback and contributions have been invaluable. Now, I do find this kind of sad because Intel has gone through a rough period over the past 5 years, and they're now having to make some cuts that they really don't want to make. They really wanted to keep this Clear Linux OS going, but it looks like they're going to have to go ahead and sunset it just because of budget cuts. So, I really hope somebody would pick this up and continue to maintain it, but it also depends on if Intel would release it to somebody else. So if they don't, then it really will be sunset and we won't see any more updates, maintenance, or any more progress with this Clear Linux OS. But even though it's heartbreaking, in recent years I've heard a few times of Clear Linux potentially being on the chopping block due to cost cutting at Intel and trying to emphasize out of the box performance for the major Linux distributions and getting more of their work upstreamed as well. Now, today it's finally been made official. Clear Linux has delivered many great out of the box performance optimizations for Linux systems and shown what can be done for packaging with profile guided optimizations, link time optimizations, various kernel tweaks, and other innovations over the years. At least the likes of Cache OS have picked up some of these optimizations. Now, Intel engineers are also working with other major Linux distributions on enhancing their Linux distribution performance too. But those details and whether they will be ramping up those efforts or not remain unclear. And unfortunately, this caps off a week where a very prominent Linux engineer left Intel. An upstream Linux driver is now orphaned over another engineer departure, and various other Intel software engineers are working on open source Linux also were let go as part of the latest restructuring at Intel. So this is very sad. I really had hoped that they would be able to keep it going. Again, I like to see every single Linux distro do really well, and especially one that's going to be maintained by Intel, because you know that they're going to put all their money behind it and it's going to be a lot better for everybody. And even if people didn't use that distro, if some of the other distros picked up some of the features, well, it would benefit everybody. So even though this is being sunset, I really hope that some of the performance improvements and enhancements that came out did help some of the other Linux distros. Now, I did want to jump over and I wanted to show you the Clear Linux website. So here is what the Clear Linux project website looks like. And I'm sure that this will be going away soon, unfortunately. But if you would like to download and just test it out, maybe not use it as a daily driver anymore since it's not going to get any maintenance or updates. But if you just wanted to test it out and see how well it did work while it was still being used, you can go to clearlinux.org. And then once you get here, you can click on software. Once that pulls up, you can click on Downloads, and you'll see there's a Clear Linux OS Desktop and a Clear Linux OS Server. Now, again, I'm not going to recommend these for production anymore since they won't get any updates, security fixes, any kind of maintenance at all. But you can download the latest or even the newest version, which both of them are going to be the 43,760. That's gonna be the same for the server and the desktop, and even the latest right here is the 42,760. But if you download the one for the server or the one for the desktop, you can put that on a flash drive, and then you can boot your server or your desktop computer to it, or even your laptop, and you can have the Clear Linux OS up and running on that computer. And then if you happen to want to download one of the older versions and they still have them available, if you scroll down on this page, you'll see previous releases right here. And you can click on previous Clear Linux OS releases. And it's going to give you this incredibly long list. And if you go all the way to the bottom, it goes all the way back to October of 2016. And now we're currently in July of 2025. So they put out updates for almost 10 years. So it's really sad to see this go, but I do understand they have to make budget cuts in Intel. So this is one of the things that has to go. But I also wanted to show you what it did look like. So here are two different pictures of what the desktop could look like depending on which desktop environment you picked. So here is the first one, and I think that just looks fantastic. I mean, it looks incredible. It's running on an i5 8th gen processor, and it had 8 gigs of RAM, and it's only using 1.6 gigs. And it just looks fantastic to me. And it even had a couple of programs that were running. So I really liked it. And if you look over here, here's one more picture, and this one again shows you the CPU. It shows you it was using 2.9 gigs of 139 gigs. So they had a lot of RAM in their computer, but it looks fantastic. So I really like the two different desktop environments that they had on these different Clear Linux OSs. And if you want to try it out, I'll put a link to the website where you can go and just download it and try it out. But do keep in mind, unfortunately, no security updates, no maintenance. Nothing is going to get any updates with the Clear Linux OS going forward. So that's just really sad to me, but I do understand. So hopefully Intel will be able to come back and revive it in just a few years. So I hope that was interesting and also helpful to know that Intel unfortunately will not be able to provide any more updates to the Clear Linux OS. And while that is sad and I don't really want to see it go myself, I do know that there's a lot of other Linux distros that are out there and new ones keep coming out every single day. So I hope that some of these features and enhancements that came out with the Clear Linux OS will make it to some of these other distros so that we'll be able to still see some of those benefits. Now, if there's anything that you would like to share about Clear Linux OS, Or maybe you have a question, or maybe you just like me to go into more depth about this. Please let us know down below in the comments, and I will be more than happy to get back with you. And if there's a video, topic, article, anything that you would like me to make a video on, please let me know that down below in the comments as well. And I will do my best to create that video for you. And if you found this helpful and you'd like to support this channel, I left a link in the video description where you can buy me a cup of coffee if you'd like to. And as always, because you all do such a great job, if you can, hit that like and subscribe button so I can keep putting up more great content like, did you know that unfortunately Intel is going to have to sunset their Clear Linux OS because of budget cuts? And I'll be more than happy to keep sharing all this great content with you all. Thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate you all. I hope you have a great day. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.